So since the bay has been sprayed, I've been putting a few parts back together onto the car that are good to go. I've been using new bolts where I can. No point putting rusty old bolts back into fresh steel now that it's all sorted. Rubber grommets have gone back into a few areas where they need to be. The brake booster I reconditioned, got rid of all the surface rust, give it a good coating of black, and that's back in there and looking really good. So next on the list are also the bonnet hinges. Again, new bolts where I can. I've got many of those bolts, so may as well use them. Next on the list is the wheel guards, or the wheel guard area, I guess. I'm going to give this a really good sand back, or maybe just a really thorough clean. The steel under here is in such good condition that I'm not too sure if I want to sand it all the way back to metal. There's no need to take good paint off if it doesn't need to come off. It's just a waste of time and effort and product. So I will rust convert some of this very light rust on this piece of steel here and up here. But I reckon we're just going to give this a really good clean up and then a quick recoating of black rubberized undercoat. So let's get this sorted and make this tidy and ready to go. Alright, so what I'm going to do first is scour back any of the debris and dirt that's on the guard, and then once I'm happy with that, if there's any areas that do need rust converting, we'll hit it with a little bit. Just like I said, this surface here needs it. It's not rusted, but it is just a little bit of surface rust. The metal's in really good nick. I don't see a need to sand it all the way down to bare metal. It's just a waste of time. So we'll clean it up really good and just make it look a little bit more presentable. Many years left of life in this guard still. So let's get to it. Alright, so now that's been scoured down with all the junk and debris off it, it's looking a lot cleaner. I'm now going to just touch it up with some rust converter and then give it wax and grease remover and then hit it with the undercoating. Now that's been prepped and ready for a bit of spray. I'm just going to go into the engine bay and I'm going to mask up all the little holes that are exposed so when I do spray it doesn't come back out onto the nice white paint I've put down. So let's get that done. Alright, so now that we're all sealed up and no overspray is going to come through anywhere, it's time to hit it with some rust converter. Continue on. And that's all it needs, just on the exposed metal. There were even some parts where it wasn't rusty, but it was exposed. I thought I'd hit it anyway. This stuff is, it can be used as a primer as well if you really want it to. which means that the paint can just go straight over the top of it. You don't have to like rub this back down or anything once the rust has been converted, which makes life a lot easier when it comes to this kind of thing. Leave this for a few minutes, let it dry right off, and then we're ready to hit it with the underbody. That's had enough time to dry. Safety first when spraying this kind of stuff. I hate to get that in my lungs. The rust converter's done its job. Any areas that were slightly surface rusty have now turned black. And the process is being finished, which is really good. I don't know the terminology to that. Something about oxidization or something. I guess the can will tell you. But that's all prepped, ready to go. We're now going to hit it with the rubberized coating. Fun part. That's looking mighty fine. Really nice and clean. I look forward to putting all the suspension back in now once it's all been tidied up. Let's get the masking tape off. Make sure I haven't sprayed any black over my nice white paint. And there we go. She's all pretty. Didn't get any paint on the inside, which is really good. But that's going to work a treat. So that's pretty much done now. I don't want to touch it for a good 24 hours because it does take a while to dry. But this stuff is awesome. It's got like a really nice kind of satin black finish to it. And it's not as texturized as some of the other big butane, not butane, the bituminous kind of sprays can leave like really, you know, bumpy textured surface, where this is much finer. So I'm liking that. Now I've got to do the other side. Other side done. Same way. Really not much to show there, apart from that it's completed. I think I have to do under the actual supports now. I've got 3 rails to do. The bottom radiator support and the 2 rails. I can't ignore those because they're pretty much exposed to the elements all the time, so it's going to be a pain in the butt, but I'm going to tidy that up now anyway. So the quality of this chassis is so good. With a slight scrub back, you can see how it's coming up. Like, whoops. Don't smear paint onto your job. What was I saying? It's in really good condition. So there's minimal surface rust on these rails on this chassis here. So I'm just going to finish cleaning this up, get rid of the paint that I just smeared onto it, and get this underbodied as well. Alright, well that pretty much does it for the front end of this car. Underneath the chassis rails and the front support beam is all covered and protected. The question I ask myself at the end of each video is, what's next? I don't know, something in that direction, I think. See you in the next one.